is, yes. And to the left of my dad is my cousin Barry, who I go to football with still. So
Yep,
welcome back to the show.
yep. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it.
Should be fun. Right, everybody, let's get started. Today, we don't have really any scripts or anything. We're just going to go back over our memories, over everything really that, we've experienced. We've got 65 years of Arsenal memories through all of us, really. We really have. And I'm just going to start with saying that none of you have seen the pre-season friendly last night, but I know for a fact that on social media that some Arsenal fans are having meltdowns, which I find quite funny. So basically, we played at the MetLife Stadium last night in New Jersey, 82,000 Arsenal and United fans. It was absolutely incredible, and we have a lot of USA Gooner listeners, and I love them. I can't tell you all how big we are in America. Thousands and thousands and thousands of Gooners went to that stadium last night. It was incredible to watch. And how they feel when we're at the Emirates and I'm posting pictures and everyone's doing videos and everything is how I felt last night. I feel like I had a bit of FOMO. I wanted to be there. It's like our team, but of course, pre-season, very pleased they've gone over there. And Andrew, we were just discussing, weren't we, that you watched the MLS one. What did you think of that?
That was good. It was a very fun game, and we played well, dominated. Seemed to be a challenge for everyone in terms of it was a pretty rough game. They're a very physical league, but we played well and dominated the game. It was a real exhibition game, and we probably turned up the other day doing the same thing against United. Thought it'd be an exhibition game, and United probably took it a bit more seriously than we did.
Yeah, and Barnaby, welcome to the show. Barnaby was actually a United fan that follows our podcast. And it's true, the Kroenke and the Glazer effect, probably. The fact as well is that we are absolutely huge throughout that whole universe. It's absolutely bizarre. We have people from like India, Pakistan, New Zealand, Russia, everybody watching us and are so like thirsty for information about our club, where when we all used to just go, with the four of us, say like in the 80s, we just went to Highbury every week, didn't we, Barry? We just toddle off on a
That's it.
Saturday.
Nothing else. Teletext maybe, and a phone call, and discussion in the car. That was the social media of the day. Discussion in the car up to the game and after the game, and whatever Radio 5 Live equivalent. That was about it. Capital Gold also. I forgot about them.
Oh, I've been on Capital Gold before. I did a rant and I
That's
won.
unlike you, Ned.
No. When I was about 19, I think it was before Anfield, no, it wasn't actually. It was when we were called Spoilt as Arsenal fans. I remember it was in the paper and I rang up and I went mad and I won the rant and they gave me a crate of lager. I think it's not Talk Sport because it went Capital Gold. And yeah, unfortunately, I don't like listening to TalkSport, and I moan every time I'm in your car, don't I? Turn it off, and I have to listen to some lunatic Arsenal fans on the way home from games, and none more than my dad. So, Dad, welcome back to the show. Can you hear us okay?
I certainly can.
So, interestingly enough, let me tell everybody how we all support Arsenal. So, Dad supports the Arsenal. When I was born, there was no choice. I was born Arsenal. However, Barry and Andrew are my first cousins, and their dad wasn't into football, were they? So, was he, Barry?
No, not at all.
So, obviously, you're the older one of you and Andrew, and my dad obviously took you to football, and that was it, I'm assuming.
So, yeah, I actually knew your mum before your dad did. And then when you did come along, Kelvin, I think I was only 3 or something. And although my dad wasn't into football, the family as a whole were all Spurs fans. Spurs, not mad.
They probably still are. What's left of them? Yeah,
probably still are. And
they were one of the first season ticket holders at White Hart Lane, something like that.
Yeah, I was told that.
Well, I do remember taking you to football, Barry, for the first time with you and your dad. And after the game, you went herring off down the stairs, and we all went, both of us went running after you to make sure you were safe and well. But that was your, as far as I can remember, your introduction to going to Arsenal Football Club.
Oh, okay.
What
I didn't
year
know
was
I
that?
went with my. I didn't know I was with my dad at my first game. That's a new thing to me. So that's good.
Can I
Well,
tell
I
you,
don't-
Barry? Sorry, Dad. Can I just say that every time Dad comes on this podcast, I learn something new.
Yeah.
There were so many stories he said about breaking down and everything else that I never even knew. Sorry, Dad, what year was it that Barry went with you and Uncle?
I'm going to try and have a guess here. Well, it is a guess because I don't know, but
68.
it may have been. When were you? Well, let's just take this back. When were you, say, 4 or 5? What year?
68.
Well,
Right,
I
so
was
let's just
going
go
before.
with, let's just say around 68, because then I
Okay.
came along at 69, but Andrew was here. So Andrew, did you take Andrew to Highbury before you took me, Dad?
Well,
Yeah, I remember
would-
going to Highbury at around 5, 6 years old, and I actually do have a memory of my dad being there as well.
yes,
I do remember it was a 0-0 game. It probably wasn't, but most of them were 0-0 games in those days. So
I wouldn't
the
go so
boring,
far as
boring
to say
Arsenal
that.
game.
I wouldn't go so far as to say that. Some of them were awful games and we lost. So not unfortunately were they 0-0. But yes, I do remember you coming. I do, obviously your dad with you at the time. And you've just, both you and Barry have grown beautifully into top Gooners.
So then I come along, obviously, the top gooner of us all. And you took me when I was 4. That's what
Almost.
you 3 or 5?
Almost 4.
Oh, almost 4.
Almost
Yeah.
4, but there was other things going on in your life, such as you recited the double team of 1971 when you were nearly 4.
No, Dad, in 1971, I was 2. So I don't
Yeah.
know how I would have recited the double team. You mean in 73?
2 years later.
Yes,
Maybe, yeah.
At
He
nearly
tells
4,
everyone this.
nearly 4, you recited the double team at a hotel in Bournemouth, and we had gone down there in a van. I was driving at the time, and you recited the double team, and everybody was shocked around me that you could do it so well, but I wasn't.
So there we go,
What was it
people.
like,
It's not,
though, doing the double in those years?
that's what we're going to
Kelvin?
get to that. Go on.
I mean, it wasn't like a double now or a treble now. I mean, 71 double would have been amazing.
Dad, Andrew's asked you a question.
I'm sorry, but I'm just reading what's come up on the screen. Sorry, repeat that, Andrew.
What was the double like in 71? It must have come as a bit of a surprise as well, and just an amazing year.
Do you want me to talk about the actual day we won the league at down the road?
Absolutely.
that's what you want,
I've led you into that.
I'll take this. Well, fair enough.
In a
I-
nutshell, Dad. In a nutshell.
Well, this is a very big nutshell then, because always I used to write away to the Way Club for tickets for the game against Arsenal. I wrote away in March, and I wrote away in February for the game in April, I think it was, and 4 tickets came back in a stamped adjust envelope, which of course I sent. The game was then put back to the last Monday of the season before the FA Cup final, which we happened to be in as well against Liverpool. And I remember your dad came with me and 2 other friends. One was a Tottenham friend and one was an Arsenal friend. How they got there, I do not know. But all I know is I left home about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I got parked very close to the ground, and I've never seen anything like it at 4:30. I ended up sitting in a cafe with a Tottenham father and his son, and the son was crying. So I sat opposite them and I said, well, what's the problem? They said, we haven't got tickets to get in. So there's nothing I could say about that. So then after that, I wandered down Paxton Road, I think it was. Yes, I think that's what it was. Because my entrance was the West Stand, nearer Paxton Road. And I'd still been a policeman and just watched the bedlam going on around us. And one thing I've never forgotten is a guy climbed up the drain pipe, got to the top window and just launched himself in the top of it. I never saw him again. I presume he's still alive, or he was then. I ended up sitting in the top right-hand corner of the stand with his dad and with his two other friends. And Ray Kennedy decides around about the 79th, was it, or 78th minute, I can't remember the exact time, to nod a ball in. A beautiful
89th
ball.
minute.
Sorry?
89th minute, wasn't it?
No, it was earlier
That's
than that.
Anfield.
No.
No.
I thought, anyway, listen, I can't remember the exact minute, but I think it was across from Geordie Armstrong. I think so, who I loved. He was magic. And he nodded it in the top corner. And of course, those days, who'd heard of VAR? So it's a goal, isn't it? It's a goal. No flag gone up, no offside, nothing. Great, goal. We've gone Well, I've gone bonkers. You can't do that today, but I did it then. And of course, after that, it was sheer bedlam with Bob Wilson nearly getting his head kicked in when he went into the middle of a melee to get the ball. But Frank McClintock, Bob Wilson, Bob McNabb, all the boys, John Radford, everybody steamed in, made sure we were safe and we were okay to win that game 1-0. And I stayed there and watched what happened on the pitch afterwards. Camera crew running around with the team, and of course thousands of Arsenal fans who've gone onto the pitch. And when I've come out, I thought, you better be quiet here. So I said nothing, got back to my van, drove home, put on the television. There was about 30 seconds of it on the news, and that was it. Next morning in the papers, wow, they went to town. It was absolutely brilliant reading it all. And then, of course, I had the trip to Wembley on the following Saturday against Liverpool with the normal 3 o'clock kickoff. And George Graham and Eddie, Charlie, our lovely Charlie George, did the honours. And Charlie, who can really hit them, buried it to the right-hand side of Ray Clements.
So, obviously, none of us were there. Adrian wasn't even born.
Yes.
And I've often asked you this. I can't remember what you said, to be honest. The greatest night of your life, football-wise, because obviously Mum's listening. 71 at Spurs or 89 at Anfield?
89.
Really? Okay. I'm surprised. I thought we would have been at Spurs.
For the simple reason that if we went to Spurs and won, it didn't matter what the score was. If we went to Anfield and won 1-0, that wouldn't have helped us.
No.
But Liverpool were in a different league to what Tottenham were then. And if you win the game against Liverpool, as I said, you've got to win by 2 clear goals. And of course, we'd all steamed up the M1, the M6, the M52, the M56, whatever it was, the M62, had a rotten meal at the service stations, which I'll never forget.
Is this Anfield now? Yes.
Yeah, that's
Hold on.
Anfield.
We're going to come to
Yeah.
that in a moment. Okay,
Yeah.
we're going to come to that. So, obviously, we all grew up, all of us. It was just part of our religion was Arsenal. Everything was run round it. Every time one of us met a partner, if it was a girlfriend or a boyfriend, it was like, yeah, does he support Arsenal? Where does he come from? It was, excuse me, it was part of our being. It's like when people say, could you ever swap to support another team? It was like, are you mad? It's like asking if you'd swap another religion. You just don't do that. And then what happened was later on in our life, Andrew, you were as much Arsenal as we were, but then headed off for a new life in Australia in 93, wasn't it?
93. I watched us do the cup double against Sheffield Wednesday. And yeah, that was the second. After that one, that was end of that year, decided to come to Australia. And I thought it was a peak time to leave England. We'd won the league, we'd gone to Anfield, we'd done the cup double. What else was there to see after that in '93?
Well, 94, we won in Copenhagen. Did you go to that or not?
I didn't know.
No, nor did
I
I.
just got
I
to
wasn't there.
Australia.
So
But
when
yeah,
you're in
it was a bit of a rich history afterwards.
So how did you manage to watch Arsenal games? Because obviously now it's so global. It's not even a question need answering. But in the 90s, were you able to watch Arsenal?
There wasn't a lot in the 90s. I think it exploded here in probably early 2000s. You could watch the odd game, but we probably saw as many games live as was happening in the UK live. But then I think once the Sky Sports had blown it all out and it became a national phenomenon and then international, I think it became here the biggest sport, probably the biggest TV sport, to the point now where every game's shown live here in Australia, and I think around the world, everywhere but the UK, you can watch virtually every game live.
Yeah.
So here we got a subscription 10, 15 years ago. I was living in Perth where it was only 10 hours difference at times, and 8 hours difference at times, and you could watch games at 11 o'clock with a good 3 o'clock kickoff. But Melbourne, when I was living in Melbourne for probably the glory years of the early Wenger, it was 11-hour time difference, and trying to watch games at 2 a.m, and I was committed watching games at 2, 3, 4 a.m. And when you won, the buzz was there, and you didn't get too much sleep. And I think we've had this conversation, Amanda, that it's amazing that the support around the world, and it doesn't matter where you go. I've travelled a fair bit around Asia, around Africa, and there is passionate football supporters and passionate Arsenal supporters that know as much as as we did from growing up, and still do. And you guys are privileged that you go and get to the Arsenal every week. I know Kelvin's not going at the moment, but it's such a privilege that you guys go there and get there, and international visitors that might go once a year or once every couple of years feel like that's a blessing for them.
Absolutely. And honestly, Andrew, and still I started podcasting, 10, 12 years ago, and being on social media, I took going to the Emirates and Highbury absolutely for granted. And sometimes it was a bit of a pain because I've had to go out as a wedding, or, I was tired as a younger person, took it all for granted and now it's so totally different with social media, especially. But I've been on a few Australian Gooner podcasts. The passion is, to get up at 2, 3 in the morning, as I've always said, and watch a match. We don't do that here. I didn't stay up for the MLS match the other night at 2 o'clock in the morning. There's no way I would do that. But it's so interesting for me when you get the people that go to football are very different as well in the stadium. When you chat to them on social media, not everyone's on social media that goes to the Emirates, that is for sure. And there's so many tourists at the Emirates now. It's so popular that if you look at Arsenal in America now, and United are in America, and all the other big teams are around the world, it's like they're at home. The passion is exactly the same.
It's because we're not tourists, Amanda, when we come there. We're fans.
True.
Like every other fan. We're a fan whether we're watching it at home or if we get the occasional chance to come to the Emirates. I mean, I feel like I've been often enough. So, again, I feel it's a privilege when I'm there, but it's fans around the world. I know I've heard the term tourists before and how tourists spend more money, but that's because it is it's an occasional one-off, but you're a true fan still, doesn't matter where you are around the world.
Absolutely. And I've always said this on this podcast, that if you're a fan of Arsenal from Africa, Russia, Sweden, Greenland, wherever, I don't care. You're one of us, and that's that. You don't win. None of us are born in London, near Highbury, so we're all Essex people. It makes no difference if you support the club. Sorry, Barry, did you want to say?
As you know, over the years I've sold the odd ticket outside, and I've got a lot of tourists come in with me. And what's amazing is their knowledge. It's not just they're a fan of the club, or their knowledge of the players, the past, the ground, the reserves. It's quite. In fact, most of them know more than me.
Yep, they do.
Often, let's put it that way. So that's the thing. It's not just they've come to experience one live game in their lifetime. They really are. It's an absolute passion of theirs.
It so is, and that's what I've always tried to get over on these podcasts, that they're just as respected as us. And when people go plastic fans, we're the plastic ones. We won't stay up at 2 o'clock in the morning and watch a match. We wouldn't do it. Get up at 4 a.m. and do it. I know so many people that do this. But moving on. So Adrian, you were born into this family. Okay, so for you, this is normal. Okay, Arsenal is just normal. It's so weird if you're not in this sort of family where, I've met people growing up, they're not really into football. There's not many, most are. But so coming into this and coming out, I mean, obviously you've gone since Dad's had a season ticket for you for how long?
My first game was 96.
And how old were you?
I've been 4. I've been going religiously since I was 4, but that was my first game. You did say this is normal. I'm very aware we're not a normal family to be this big in Arsenal. But no, very usual for us. But yeah, no, it's first game. My first game was 2-2 against Derby. I remember it this day. And you might not know, it was Vieira's first goal. He equalised for us in the 90th minute. If any of you remember that.
Adrian, I've been
December
to so
96. Yeah, Vieira's first game. First goal.
And you were 4 years old in 96. That's just I feel so old. But Adrian, you say it's not normal. There's plenty of football families around. There are. It's just that wherever Dad goes, everybody knows Dad in the area. Wherever I could be out somewhere and someone will say, "Oh, I know your dad. He's Arsenal, isn't he?" That's how I was brought up. So when people now see my son Jack, they'll go, "Oh, Mum, yeah. Oh, she loves Arsenal, doesn't she?" And it's just like Amanda Arsenal. It's the next thing. So you're one of the younger ones. So obviously you're Wenger then. That's all you've known is Wenger and right up to now. That's so interesting because, when we ask people, and I'm going to ask everybody on the panel in a second, who their favourite manager is, I'll ask you first, Adrian. Who is your favourite manager as of today?
I mean, it can't be anyone other than Wenger. I mean, just because the time he's had that I've been alive for. I mean, Arteta, fantastic. Everything's been positive, but it would be wrong to say he's my favourite manager, given the years that Wenger put in when I was growing up. All of this. Yeah, without question.
Okay. Dad, who is your favourite manager?
George Graham.
Okay. Barry?
Wenger, but I can understand why your dad just said George Graham. I think George Graham did a lot for the club, but what Wenger did surpassed that, and for a longer period of sustained success when we weren't expected to be successful. Man United were massive when we were successful, so and Liverpool were at the beginning as well. So just longevity. I think Arteta could in time get there. I'm not sure there'll be a statue of George Graham outside the stadium, but there could well be a statue of Wenger, and let's all hope there is a statue of Arteta as well at some stage, because that'd be blooming good news, wouldn't it?
There is a statue of Wenger coming. This is because you're not on social media. It is coming. However, there's 2 reasons George Graham won't have a statue. Not that I'm going to go into them here, but there are 2 reasons. Andrew, who's yours?
I mean, Wenger's got to be just in terms of what he brought, but for me, as a personal highlight, I was there for the George Graham years, and they were such a highlight as well. So it is a mix, but I think, Wenger always.
Okay, so I'm George Graham, and I think it's because he gave me the greatest footballing moment of my life. So I don't think that, and you're saying, Barry, that Man United were massive, but Liverpool were massive. To topple them in the last seconds of a game, how can you beat that? You can't beat that.
Liverpool were the Man City of today, weren't they? Then they'd won the cup, by the way, at Anfield. They were 1 minute away from the double, not just the league, and they were fantastic. Every player they had was unbelievable, miles ahead of everyone else except us, of course. But the longevity of it. Wenger didn't have an Anfield moment, but he had lots of moments. We also won the league at White Hart Lane under Wenger. I was there.
The Invincibles.
And the Invincibles, and the quality of the football was 10 times better under Wenger than George. Bless him. He knew how to win, but he didn't really know how to entertain as such. But no, George Graham was very successful. Wenger was successful longer and better.
So I'm going to ask the people in the chat room, because we've got all different ages, who it is. Karen says George Graham. The thing is with Wenger, and the first 10 years were absolutely outstanding. I mean, you can't deny that. It was just beautiful. He stayed far too long. However, he did inherit the back four, which came from Graham. And to say that Graham didn't play good football is a bit disingenuous, Barry, because I know you're saying 1-0 to the Arsenal, and but I was entertained that, he changed the club in '86. We won our first trophy. That was my first live final when I went to Wembley. So I find it really hard because, of course, Wenger has been he's changed everything at the club. But George Graham started that. And I think it's very hard to choose. I knew Dad would go with Graham. I thought one of you, Andrew or Barry, would go with Graham and one with Wenger. And I knew, obviously, 100% Adrian would be Wenger. And yes, it would be. And apparently the unveiling is the 3rd of August. Someone's just told me in the chat room. Wonder where it'll be outside the ground.
I think we've been lucky that we've had such wonderful managers that we can have this debate.
Yeah.
I think there's other clubs that wouldn't be able to have this debate where they haven't brought the trophies or the moments or the 89 moment or the Invincible. What one's better? In our lifetime, to be able to have that debate is spectacular.
We're very lucky. Listen, you could be Tottenham fans, couldn't you, and have none of this? I mean, seriously.
Yeah,
and
thanks,
we know
Kelvin.
plenty of them.
I mean, George Graham. One of the reasons to go for George Graham is because he was a player as well. He was Arsenal when you saw him, Mr. Arsenal, literally. Even when he's Spurs manager, he's Mr. Arsenal. So that's an added little bonus. But no, the fact he was in the double team, played for a number of years, was brought up the Arsenal way. You did see Arsenal Football Club when you saw George Graham. Not sure that's quite so much with Wenger. He initially, I mean, he grew into being Mr. Arsenal, but. So although George Graham's managerial longevity wasn't the same, his Arsenal longevity was. So that's why they're virtually equal, if you like, from that point of view.
I've been lucky enough to meet both and have conversations with both, and we were very lucky as Arsenal fans. So moving on through the years, we all, Andrew, you did come back quite a few times for our cup finals, didn't you, from Australia?
Yeah, I remember when I emigrated, I said to Barry, Barry said, when are you coming back? And I said, well, when we got a chance to do the double, I'll come back. And that was a few years later, 5 years later, had that opportunity.
98.
Barry promised me he'd get me a ticket for the 98 final. So I came back, I flew in on the Friday. We managed to scramble a ticket on the Saturday. I think it was a corporate ticket. We had the opportunity to chat with Frank McClintock. And the only thing I remember about that chat was he had a go at me for losing my English accent and sounding Australian after 5 years when he sounded so Scottish. And then, the cup final was amazing. My birthday was the day after, and then flew home the day after that. And I've done that a few times, been to a few of the cup finals. I've been fortunate enough to come over to London for a few times and get to see some pretty good games. I've seen a good few Arsenal Tottenham games where I think the last one, the 4-2, the 5-2, a couple of the 5-2s. So I've been fortunate to be able to get back and see a number of games.
Are you coming over for the Tottenham game this year, Andrew?
I was just talking to a Tottenham mate about it, and when is it? It's middle of September, isn't it? It's quite an early game, so definitely keep that.
If Adrian doesn't want the ticket, you can have it.
Priorities, come on.
This is what goes on. This is the family. We're always discussing who's going to have what ticket, where we're going to meet, what cafe we're going in, what time we can leave. We always argue about the time we're going to leave. This is what it's like. This is no different to what it's like. And I do miss you, Andrew. And it's so funny when you come back and you sit with us at the Emirates. It's like you're never gone. And then when you go, it's like, where is he? You know, because you are part of that. However, you weren't at Anfield 89, but you went with me to Highbury for the whole weekend. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think the one disappointment in my life, the biggest disappointment in my life, I think was not doing 89 and having a different 89 experience to you three, I guess. And you can enjoy it, but yeah, a big disappointment for me. But we pushed to the front at Highbury. I know that.
We were, Andrew, we were there the whole weekend, drinking and singing and everything. It was just an incredible weekend, incredible times that hopefully, Adrian, one day you'll experience. But you see, Adrian, it was funny because about 6-7 years ago, we bumped into each other at Anfield, didn't we?
Anfield, yeah, absolutely. Went up with
I was up there for the weekend, so I used to go for weekends and I loved it. And then I've gone into the away end at Anfield, and there you're standing with a couple of your mates.
And we were, yeah. We thought we went through a phase of going to quite a few away games. We loved it. I mean, I'd probably prefer them to home games, really. But yeah, went up, drove up for the day. It's a fantastic game, I think. Can't remember the result, but no.
We didn't lose that one. But
was it a draw? Was it 2-2?
You've got some exciting, wonderful news, hopefully next month, where a new little Gooner could be coming into the family. And finally, I can buy something that is Arsenal related for a baby, because there's no one in my life I can do that for. So we're all excited about that. Adrian, what's your okay, so now be honest, because obviously you, me, Dad, and Carl, we go to football, we sit in the cafe, we sit at football together. People in the chat room know me as Miss Positive. I am generally positive about the club and the way it's going.
They're just like me.
No, Dad. No one's like you. No one. So, Adrian, people in the chat room want to know, because they want some embarrassing stories about me. There isn't any, I'm afraid. However, I think
They're
one of
all
the funniest.
Amanda.
Shut up. The funniest thing is I think one of the funniest thing I've ever had was, Barry, when we was at Chelsea with Dad and David Platt got off the coach. Do you remember that?
No, yes. Go on. Hold on. Trigger.
I do.
Somehow we got into the players' bit at Chelsea at Stamford Bridge.
Right.
And David Platt, I don't know what year it was, whenever David Platt played for us, the team got off the coach, and we were allowed to talk to them. And don't you remember Dad talking in Italian to David Platt?
Oh, yes. Yes.
And because Dad thinks he knows how to speak Italian, and he knows about 2 sentences, he has this whole conversation in Italian with David Platt. It was one of the I know it doesn't sound funny now, but Dad, you didn't understand a word he said, did you?
I understood about 20% of it, and I just flannelled the rest.
Mine's two.
He's gone in about 5 seconds if I don't start talking Italian. So I was nodding and doing all the things that the Italians do with their hands, and it's all this business, all that. And he was very friendly, I have to say. And I remember the goal he scored when the 3 of us were at... what was it? Richards, Bar Mitzvah, I think it was, in Walthamstow. We were playing Man United on the Sunday.
We all had radios under the table, and David Platt scored. He rose like a salmon. I was talking about this the other day, but I just want to go back to Adrian a second. So we all go to the CAF. Adrian loves having conversations with me, don't you, about the game? Always. To be fair, you're always very positive, aren't you?
I can't believe you're known as Miss Positive. But yeah, what was it? Was it the Everton game this year where pre-game, I think Carl said 4-1, I said 4-0, and you looked at us both and said, no chance we're winning 4-0 this game. What happened? We won 4-0. Often, I'll predict, I don't know, a nice 3-0 at home against a mid-table team, and then just get daggers over from you. Like, not a chance, but yeah.
Right. We were trying to win the league, and I think I was so stressed and plutzing all the time that I was like, no, we're not going to win 4-0. There's no way. Sometimes I'm right, though, Adrian, but you are generally very positive. I think I get quite nervous when I just go in the ground and I'm like, you look at me and you go, well, what do you reckon? And I'll go, I don't know, I don't fancy it now. But
Yeah,
I
these days, Manda, you're not prepared to commit to a forecast.
No, I don't. I don't predict on here either.
No,
I won't do
know,
predictions. No, I don't. Because I box the team.
Started from Kelvin. Whenever we'd go 1-0 up, Kelvin would say straight away, "Oh no, we need two. It's not enough." We'd all be celebrating, and it'd be, "Oh no, we need two." We'd score a second. Oh, no, we need three. Two's not enough. Two's not enough. And he sort of passed it down to you a little bit, man.
Yeah, you're right. I felt that way, but I don't think I'd feel that way now. But I do remember every time, Adrian, you got in the car when I was able to go, and I was still going years ago. I used to ask you, "Are we going to win today?" And you went, "Yep." And you gave me a score that was often way out, but you gave me the score. And occasionally, not very often, you were right. But I was just like you, hardly ever right. But we were positive in the car, and we couldn't wait to get there, get into the cafe, as Amanda loves to say, which is right. And you meet God knows who when you on the way in, and you sit in. Fred Bloggs walks in with his scarf on, and you meet opposing fans. It was a wonderful part of my life that I was able to do, and unfortunately now I don't go anymore, as everybody knows. But my heart is still at the Emirates. It's actually still at Highbury, but there's a bit left there. And yeah, I miss all that, but as long as you're doing it, as long as your family are there and just following on my tradition, that's all I can ever ask for.
Dad, you WhatsApp me every game, and if we're 3-0 up, you say we've still got to get another two. Every single game. I'm not.
That's the 88th minute as well.
I even have proof on my WhatsApp what you're like. You don't fancy it. Oh my God, this is going to happen. He stresses me out. However, if it wasn't for you, none of us would be there. So I do appreciate that. And I know you love the Arsenal more than anything.
Yeah, that includes someone you know well.
Someone I know very well.
Yes.
So Adrian, what's it like being grown up with us all? Like all just mental Arsenal fans?
What's it like? Yeah, I'm just as nuts as you four. Actually, one thing to say. Do you know why I am so positive at Arsenal? Once and only once have I ever predicted Arsenal not to win, and that was the FA Cup final 2001. And little 9-year-old me predicted we'd lose 2-1 to Liverpool, and we did. And I think that scarred me. So I've never since then predicted we would not win a game.
Was that when
Michael Owen?
Was that when he handballed on the line? What's his name? And we should have had a penalty.
Sanchez.
I wasn't there. I wasn't physically there. I was watching it at not watching at home. But I remember you. I think you all went.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we went there.
Yeah, we flew to Cardiff. Do you remember? And the plane was late, and we had to. Oh no, it wasn't that one. That was Chelsea. When we had to run.
Game. Yeah,
we had to run from the coach because we couldn't get to the. We got to the seats when they were doing the anthem. What's it called?
Abide with Me.
That's it. I love Abide with Me. So Andrew, in Perth, I know there's lots of supporters clubs. I know there's lots of pubs people go to. Do you ever watch football with lots of expat Gooners or Aussie Gooners?
Yeah, I think the last one that probably went to that was the most atmosphere was the cup final against Chelsea, and we went to the casino. Very big crowd, and yeah, it's like being there. The atmosphere is great. There's singing. There's a lot of people there, and Perth's probably not the biggest in terms of the Arsenal supporters club, but you go around Australia, Melbourne and Sydney, it's huge. And you go to pubs, different pubs, the different clubs, the different Gooner clubs are at. And, you just mix with people who are as big as fans as you guys are and that we all are. So, yeah, I think you guys should come out and do it more often. Should come to Australia and experience that joy of watching it with fans from around the world.
Well, when I was in New York about 5 years ago, we played Crystal Palace, but unfortunately they moved it to a Monday night. So Monday afternoon, people are working in New York. So not everyone came down, but I watched it in O'Hanlon's. with about 7 or 8 Gooners. One is an expat English, but the rest were just. You walked into this pub. I'm not joking. Arsenal memorabilia everywhere. It was like an Arsenal pub. It wasn't even like a normal pub. It was fantastic. And sorry, a bar out there, and they had the long bar like you see on the American shows, and Omri and Wright t-shirt, everything was everywhere. I felt like I was just back in Arsenal watching a game, and it was fantastic to watch it with them. I made some good friends out there. Now they're watching live yesterday at the MetLife Stadium, or whatever the stadium's called. I just so pleased, and pleased that Arsenal are able to travel and fans get to see it
So
live.
question for you guys, is there going to be a 39th game? Is there going to be an international game that is outside of the UK?
I don't think it'll be long.
Possibly.
Cup final, the Champions League.
I can see it being America because of the owners, and I can see the business acumen as well. They go out, they wore the new away top, which we'll get to in a second, yesterday. And that's probably, and when I look around the crowd, generally most were in the red, but you could see so many of this new away top. It's all about, we know this, it's all about the business. Has anyone seen the away top, by the way?
Not as good as last year's.
Well,
I loved last year's.
It was beautiful, and it's generally a little bit of a monstrosity. However, when I was out shopping yesterday, I bumped into someone who was wearing it, and I stopped him and we started talking, and he had it on. That's why I stopped him. I actually really like it now. I think the bruised banana came out and people didn't like it. Have you seen it, Barry, yet or not?
I've seen it. I like it more when we start winning in it. That'll be make all the difference. Yeah, no, look. We've worn black, we've worn pink, we've worn everything. So, come on, you, whatever the colour is, I don't know.
Illuminous green.
Come on, you, illuminous greens. Yeah, I think we need to work out a song for that one, but yeah.
It's a bit different to saying, come on, you yellows.
Well, yeah, it's weird. They just don't do yellow. Well, they haven't done yellow this season. The last year away top, the black one, was fabulous. It was just beautiful. Adrian, you going to buy the away top?
For me, no. Maybe for future daughter, something cute, maybe.
I wish you look lovely in the luminous green. Please, God.
You can do that, Amanda. Buy her a present.
Yeah. I want the away top. I never buy jerseys ever.
Yeah.
But I fancy that top. Being it's my birthday next week, I'm putting it out there. So let's move on to.
Carl?
He's in the chat room. Talking about our love for the Arsenal and everything like that, we've all got our memories and wonderful times that we've all spent together. And obviously, that's our massive connection, the fact that we're family as well. But it is our massive connection. We know what we mean when we say Barry's always had 2 rules at football, which I still say to this day: always look down, and it's always colder than you think. They are your 2 rules at football.
They're the wrong way round.
It's always colder than you think, and always look down.
Always look down when you're walking. That applied mostly to Highbury, so you get it straight. There's a lot of horses around at the time.
Yeah.
But always colder than you think. Even in summer, it's always colder than you think at football. What's yours, Kelvin? Only takes a second.
No.
And you can't park on the left-hand side.
I have that was the days of Hackney. Yes, that was the days of Hackney and Islington. Yes,
and that this is getting boring. I'm getting bored now. Come on.
You brought it up. There is one thing I always say, and Amanda knows this, before the start of every season, I say goal difference counts. And if you go back to Anfield, it certainly did. And the other thing I say to Amanda,
once every 35 years, you're right, man.
Every game I say to Amanda, hope your team wins.
Yes, that is our thing. Hope your team. And when I say it to people, they often say, but it's the same team. And I just have to explain it. So obviously that goes out the window. Hope your team wins. Even your wife says it now. So the thing is as well, is that we're now coming up to current time. Barry, we're going in a couple of weeks. We're back to the Emirates. Back home, as we say. Happy New Year to all of us. Adrian will be there, hopefully. Andrew, you'll have to start getting up at 2-3 in the morning again to start our 23-24 season off, and Dad will be on the WhatsApp negative every single game. Oh, we've got to win this by 5. We've got to do this. We've got to do that. So what's your hopes and dreams for next season, Andrew?
I loved last season. I thought it was a fantastic season. It probably came a little bit out of the blue, and it just brought me back to realising what I love about football, which is watching good football and winning football games. And that joy of, post game being able to talk about what went well, the goals, rewatch it. I think the Reece Nelson goal against Bournemouth, I think I was watching that at 2 a.m, could not get to sleep because I just had to watch it over and over again. And then the last 2 minutes and then the last 5 minutes. So it's me just enjoying the way we're playing football, watching quality players. And this year I do think we've got a very good chance of winning a major trophy. I think we've got to be setting our sights on winning the league. And I think we can win the league. You look at what we've done in the season of signing, the key stars, the Martinellis, the Sakas, and then bringing in Havertz, Timber, Rice. We're an extremely strong side, and you put that up against now player for player with City. We're as good as City, and we're better than everyone else. So
it's interesting.
Yeah,
Every time someone says that, Timber, Havertz, Rice, I think it sounds like solicitors. But it's so funny. You're so right. Sorry, you were saying you think man for man we're as good as City?
Yep. I think so. I think just player for player, we're as good as City. There's no one, apart from Haaland maybe, but
De Bruyne maybe.
No, I don't know. I think Ødegaard has proven himself, and another season in the league, he looks fantastic. So you could put them up and go, yep, this one's a little bit better than that one, and this one's a little bit better. But is Pep better than Arteta? Probably by a little bit, but that doesn't matter when it comes to winning the league. Just got to keep winning football games, and that's what we did well last year, and what we've got to do again this year.
Okay, so
what's the difference then? If we've got the same quality team, what is the difference? It's clear they're a better team than us.
Belief or quality.
Confidence,
right, let me just put this question up. Hold on, everyone. Let me just put this question we can all answer. So Carl, start, because we're going to start putting the questions now. What is success for Arsenal and what is failure next season? So, Andrew, just in a nutshell, what is success and what's failure for you?
Winning the league is success. Being top 4, that's why we got rid of Wenger, just because, every year being in top 4. Success is winning the league next year.
And failure?
It's not winning the league.
No.
Okay. Barry, you'll have your say in a second. Adrian?
Mentality of winning. You've got to have that mentality of winning. You asked Arteta what failure is, and that's got to be what failure is today.
Okay.
I think we've found a new Mr. Positive. That is that's quite ambitious. I think success. We were a dominant second this year. I think we're going to have a lot more games now, harder games of the Champions League. I think other teams might improve. Success would be another dominant second, I would say. Failure would be anything less than that. So third or lower.
Okay. So Barnaby is a United fan and said Man City's midfield walks on Arsenal's, to be honest. Not enough defensive stability for Arsenal. However, we have just signed Havertz and it looks like Partey's staying. So Barnaby, we might have that. Barry, what's your success and failure for the season?
Well, success would be competing again. Last year was fantastic. We were, in the conversation the whole time till it trailed off at the end there from day one. So if we're competing at the top, that will be success. If we don't win it, doesn't mean it's a failure. Last year was not a failure. If we had the same again this year, it wouldn't be a failure. I think Man City, no one is going to say we're better or equal than Man City. No one really can say that with all heart, hand on heart, and say that. I don't think. They've got deeper squad, better players in certain positions. No one can say Arteta is better than Guardiola. I mean, come on. Bit one-eyed. So success will be competing. Failure will be not competing. Failure will definitely be not in the top 4. And not competing. I mean, we can have a successful year and be in the top 4, and we can have a terrible year and come fourth. It depends how the season goes, the closeness of it. Everyone else is going to improve. Chelsea, Man U, Liverpool, Newcastle, City are not going to get much weaker. They won the treble last year, possibly the best team ever, quite frankly, certainly in the Premiership. So failure is not winning the league. I don't think that would be deemed a failure. But we do need to get close to competing in the tournaments. And when I say the tournaments, we're talking the league, being competitive in the Champions League and having a good run in probably the FA Cup. But also what's successful is playing enjoyable football. No one at the Emirates last year did not enjoy virtually every game. Every game was fun. Bournemouth at home, who would have thought the highlight of last year would be winning the last minute against Bournemouth? I mean, it was a competitive league. It was enjoyable. Even the smaller games were enjoyable. If we have a season like last year where we love 90% of the season, that would be success for me.
Okay. Dad?
Success to me would be winning the English League and FA Cup double, and then coming into the last 4 at the very least of the Champions League with a very, very good rate of less bookings, less sendings off. Whoever we may have had sent off last season, I can't remember, but if we did, we did. Excuse me. And where people recognise that once again we're playing some brilliant football, and hopefully you keep a team in defence that we had, like with Saliba, doing as brilliantly as he was. And yes, Barry, I agree with you with that goal against Bournemouth, but that was down to the Bournemouth goalkeeper messing around, which is why another minute had been added onto the 7. And Reece Nelson scored that screamer in the 8th minute of injury time because of what the goalkeeper did. So yes, we want luck like that. We want to be able to do things like that while we're 2-0 up, not back to 2-2 from 2-0 down. But I would dearly, dearly love to win the league again and the FA Cup with it, and come in the top, the last 4 of the Champions League at least.
At least.
At least.
So
Well,
how would you want
weirdly-
Amanda? How would you want Arteta to answer that question?
Well, Arteta would answer it that he'd want to win it all because he's a winner. That's how he sees it in his head. However, realistically, you do have to look at City, and don't everyone faint, but I agree with basically most of what Barry has said. And I don't think we are as good as City yet. However, we haven't started the season, and it's going to be a weird season now because last year, pre-season, we were awesome, and then we just carried on. And we had no expectations. We didn't have a clue what was going on, what was going to happen. This year, there's more pressure on them. You know, we took City to that title, to the last couple of 3-4 games. I think failure would be not winning something. That for me, a trophy, and success would be to be as good or even. But we need to beat City once at least in the season to have any chance of winning the league. So I'd see failure as not being able to beat City again, home or away. But I wouldn't see failure as not winning the league. I don't think we've got a divine right to do it, Andrew, because we had an amazing run last year. That's how I see it anyway. But the thing with our manager is he is a winner. That's how he sees life. That's how he is. He was brought up under Wenger and he was coached by Pep as well. So he's had the best of both worlds there. That was a good question. Thank you for that. And sorry, has anyone else got anything to say?
This time last year, success would have been scraping into the top 4 and playing the most boring football in the world. We'll take that. That will be success.
Absolutely.
That's what
So
we
we've
would have
moved
said.
on quite a lot in 12 months.
And hence now where the pressure's coming in, Barry. They weren't under pressure last year. No one even spoke about us last year. Now it's all about us and City.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
William Jack, welcome to the show and thank you for your question. Do the panel think we need another striker? And how will our plethora of attacking midfielders fit into the system? Dad, you can answer that first.
Well, the general talk is that we are going to try and find another striker, and supposedly thereafter there's Kudus. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But yes, I think we need another striker, or give Balogun a chance and let him have a few games in a run to see if he can do what he professes he could do. And attacking midfielders, it's changed now with Rice coming in, with Urian coming in. I don't know what Havertz is going to do for us. I'm still not sure. But it's all down to the wonderful Mikel Arteta, in my opinion, to sort this out and get it sorted quickly, because you've only got, 3 weeks for the league season and 2 weeks before we play City at Wembley. I still think that we are going to have another player coming in at the least.
Okay. Adrian?
Yeah, we do need another striker. I think the real difference between us and City is depth and depth of quality. They've got 2 world-class players per position, and we just don't have that. When Jesus got injured last year, we had a massive drop in, well, not a massive drop in form, but a noticeable drop in form. And I think adding a world-class striker, adding depth to our strike force is going to be, hugely useful. So yeah, we do need another striker, without question.
Andrew?
Yeah, definitely. We definitely need another striker, and that'll make a big difference. I think as much as we'd love to see Balogun come through, he's great to have on the bench and come off that bench, but we definitely need another striker, and who that may be, I don't know. But adding some more depth to the strike force and being able to rotate with confidence, Jesus in and out of that number 9 position, I think is going to be critical for us. We did say that last year as well, though.
Yeah, I love Jesus. I think he's going to bang this year with Emil Smith-Rowe as well. Barry?
Well, 100%. It's not even a discussion. Of course, we need another striker. We've got one decent striker at the club who, with the best one in the world, is not going to play every game. Havertz is an interesting one. It could be a flop, could be absolute success. We don't know. He looks a bit physically lightweight for the Premier League, but we'll see. But of course, we need 3 quality strikers, and we've probably got one, quite frankly. And it's the quality. It's not just numbers. So a couple of the players in our squad, bless them, they try hard, but they're not really good enough for a top 4 club. So we need top 4 strikers. We probably need 2 top 4 strikers.
Do you think there are? Do you think the top 4, Barry, or the top 6, apart from Man City, who's got a top striker at the moment? Not Newcastle.
Mbappe's free.
Yeah.
Look, Tottenham have
Man, you
got,
also
with
need
Harry
strikers. But I'm not saying they're easy. But if Jesus gets injured again, and he's bound to miss some of the season, right? And even when he's not injured, he also needs to have a break, rotate. We need options up front. We haven't got options up front at the moment, I don't think. I don't know what's going to happen with Havertz, whatever his name is. But we definitely need another quality, preferably an unknown. I mean, if we have got it within, great. And Nketiah, bless him, tries hard. I think he's very easy to defend against for top defenders.
If you see the question below, so you can all say yes or no, because you just mentioned Eddie Nketiah. Will he push on for the season, or do we need to move him on, Barry? Move him on.
He won't push on, and we don't want to move him on either. He's a useful squad player, but he's not really the answer to step in for 10 games when Jesus is injured. So I'm happy he's around. I'd like him to push on. He just hasn't got enough goals in him, and as a striker, that's pretty fundamental.
Does everyone agree with that? Keep him at the club, but we do need another striker.
No, I don't, because if we can get money for him and Balogun stays, then I would do that. But if Balogun doesn't want to go where we want him to go, or we can't get an offer that we accept is his value, then yes, you'll have to keep him as well.
How much
I would
can we
like
get
him to
for
improve.
Nketiah, though,
That's the thing.
realistically? We're not going to get anything for Nketiah. He's not going to change our budget.
A lot of people are talking about Ivan Toney in January. Carl said that, but a lot of people on these podcasts in the chat rooms are always talking about Ivan Toney. Let's see, William Jack just said the same thing. I'd bite your hand off for him.
Yeah, very good player. He's unpredictable. That's what we need. Nketiah, bless him, he's very predictable. Tony has got something about him. He's got a devil streak in him as well, and he's proven. He scores the goals in the team that he's not very a top team. If he had more space and more chances being created for him, I think he's very dangerous, and he's relatively young. He's not that old, is he? So that would be perfect.
I just read in 2 different journals that he has changed his agent, and the press seems to think that means he wants to move again when he can in January. Would Arsenal buy a player who has had a history of what he's done?
Yes, they would.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'd have him.
Definitely. I mean,
I would have.
Thomas Partey's got a questionable history, hasn't he?
Sorry,
I
Adrian?
asked.
Thomas Partey's got a questionable history, hasn't he? Allegations, but he's got a questionable history.
I think, Dad, with Ivan Toney, I think he's proven, and I think that would go so far. And everyone deserves a second chance in that respect, I suppose. However, we got so many questions. Let's just let me go through them. Otherwise, Andrew will be up about 4 a.m. The Charlie George said, question, with no Xhaka, will Arsenal get bullied? Yes or no, Adrian?
No, I disagree with that. I think Xhaka being quite volatile attracted a lot of that in the first place. So I reckon without having someone that teams can focus in on and give a little kick to, no, I don't think we're going to get bullied without Xhaka. No.
Right. Andrew?
I think we'll be targeted again. I think there'll be a lot of physical tackles coming in. But I think, as Barry said, we've got to just play our quality football. Are we going to be as physical as other teams? No, but technically we need to be better.
Phil saying the same thing. I'm worried how losing Xhaka and fiddling with the midfield will impact on the team. Anyone agree? So Barry, you worried about Xhaka going, that we might be bullied a little bit? Listen, they're already started on Saka last night. You haven't seen it. They already did.
Xhaka is not Saka. Xhaka.
No, I said.
Hold on.
I'm sorry. I was talking about being bullied. That was all.
I know. Declan Rice does not get bullied. I think he's a physical presence. I think we'll improve in that front. No, I don't think it's going to make any difference either way. The Xhaka not being there on that particular front. I'm not happy he's not there because I think he's magnificent last year. Saka needs protection. I mean, I think he's got to actually almost change his game a little bit to get protected. I don't know how or what, but he's getting too much kicked left, right, and centre. Jesus seems to have avoided it. There's a similar physique there. Saka's got to do something different, I think. Maybe he's got to release the ball a bit quicker or do something to avoid being whacked, go to the ball quicker, something. But I don't think we'll be bullied more than anyone else saw last year, and we've got to handle it. We've got some big boys in the team, strong boys, so I'm not worried on that front.
Okay. We've got over an hour. I'm just going to do a couple more minutes. And if you're right, Andrew.
Amanda, can I just answer that question?
Yeah, of course you can.
I think with Tommy back, he will help him with protection. And I think Declan Rice coming in, he won't stand any nonsense on behalf of Saka either.
No. And they're very good friends because of the England connection as well.
Yep.
Couple more questions. Hold on a second. 1 second. Sorry. I starred them and I went to the wrong thing. Emerson wants to say hello, Dad. Good show, Amanda and family, and nice stories of your dad. If I can answer my point I said earlier of seeing him at Highbury and media entrance at the Emirates. Do you remember Emerson, Dad?
No.
You do when you see him.
That's different. I might remember a face, but
I know
the
Emerson.
name Emerson makes me think of a Brazilian footballer, but
so funny.
I would like to see his face again.
Right. Barnaby Jones, Kobe Mainu bullied Declan Rice. It is a pre-season friendly. Everyone get back in their lane. Honestly, when you come to the Emirates, young Barnaby, let's see what happens there. And I'm going to ask one last question by Barnaby. How worried are you about Newcastle, Liverpool, United, Chelsea and Aston Villa, Adrian?
One by one, Newcastle moderately, 4 out of 5, 4 out of 10. Liverpool, no. United have always got it in them. Chelsea, not a chance. Villa, not worried in the slightest. So the only one of those I'm a little bit worried about is United. Maybe Newcastle, they got all the funds.
Yeah.
Strange how nobody's mentioned Tottenham.
Who?
Who?
Exactly. Yes.
You used to mention them every year. Do you remember, Barry, standing outside Highbury? You used to go, yeah, I'm worried about Tottenham this year. Yeah, I'm worried about Tottenham this year.
Yeah, I've learned my lesson though.
Yeah.
The only one that's not on there that we are worried about is City.
Yeah, well, we know City, don't we?
Because that's a given. That's a given.
That's the one we're focused on, isn't it? We just got to get above City. If we're above City this year, then
is that all we've got to do, Andrew? Just that. That's all we've got to do.
Just that.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant.
That's Arteta's focus, isn't it, Barry?
These brothers, Gooner brothers.
Yeah. That's all we've got to do. Just one little thing. That's all we've got to do.
And as William Jack says, what do we think of Tottenham? And we're not allowed to say it, boys and girls. We're not allowed to say it. So, generally next season, we are all very excited. We've got loads of shiny new players that have got to bed in. People have got to give them time. I don't think we're going to bang as quickly as we did last season. So everyone needs to calm and get to the Emirates and just sing your hearts out and everything. I think we're going to be packed stadiums every game as well. I'd just like to say that all of you have been absolutely brilliant. I hope you've all enjoyed it. Andrew?
It's been fantastic, Amanda. It's kept me up till gone midnight, which I haven't done for a while.
Getting on, aren't you? Getting on. Hope to see you back at the Emirates very soon, that's for sure.
24th of September, I think.
Oh, great. See you in September. Lovely. Adrian, enjoyed it?
This has been great. Yeah, really enjoyed it. I could stick around if people want to.
Adrian, I'll tell you what I do. When I get the young guns on, I'm going to get you on. Because you're still classed as one of the young guns. I can see you've really enjoyed it. It's been fantastic. Barry's been here before as well. No, you're welcome. Yeah. Thanks for coming on. Barry, enjoyed it?
Yeah, it's good. Look, when you talk Arsenal, an hour and 10 minutes just flown by. So, yes, really enjoyed it, as always.
Oh, fantastic.
It's just like driving up to a game, isn't it?
Yeah. And not, unfortunately, I have to listen to Talk Sport. Young Dad, how are you?
Very pleased to have been on. Lovely to be with Barry and Andrew and Adrian. And this is my tribute. Amanda's always in my life, as you know. This is me every time there's a game, home or away. But today I had to have this out. So I had a nice drink of tea and that before. But my life is Arsenal. Amanda knows it. People know me, know it's Arsenal. And yes, Amanda's mother is there somewhere, your auntie. She is there somewhere, but she knows her place.
Phil Macker said, top pod as always, but very disappointed not to hear any embarrassing Amanda stories. There's none, okay? You all know them anyway, Phil. I tell you all my funny, embarrassing ones. Imagine being in a shopping mall yesterday and a bloke walks past in our away top and I stop him. I don't care. I'll talk to all Gooners. It seems like everyone's loved the show. Thanks, everyone, for listening. I would just like to say that is the last episode of the summer series of Talking Arsenal for the Same Old Arsenal. I'm having a break 2 weeks now. As I said, it's my birthday next week. I'm back. The night of the Charity Shield will be going post-game live. And again, it is a friendly, so everyone needs to remember that. I'll be back here. The boys will be at the Charity Shield. I've decided not to go for various reasons. However, so put it in your diary. I think it's August the 6th, around 7 p.m. we'll go live. However, Chris is back on Wednesday night with 2 fantastic guests to end his summer series of one in, one out, one bangs, and they've been doing brilliant. Before we go, I would just like to thank everybody that's joined me in the last 6 weeks. First up was Kevin Campbell. Then there was Carlo Garganese, Ferguson Hilsey from the Yellow Ribbons pod. Sophie and Sally were absolutely brilliant. I loved it. We had Carl, Selena and Jacob from the Gay Gooners who were brilliant. And then last week was one of my favourite shows. We had Alan Algar and Anthony Gow on, son of Tony Gow. Anthony was Declan Rice's early years coach at Chelsea and is still his friend now. And honestly, if you haven't heard that pod, go back into Apple or Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, and listen to to listen to that show and listen to all of them. Everyone's been fantastic. So I just want to thank all of those. And yes, Kevin Campbell will be coming back in the season because, he's a mate of mine. Thanks to everybody. Listen, 7:30 Wednesday evening is Chris's show. I want to thank all my lovely family. Andrew, thank you so much for staying up. Thank you
Thanks for the invite finally.
Being here as well. We'll do it again. Maybe 6 months into the season, we'll get us all together. Adrian, thank you again. Hope to see you very soon. And
Absolutely.
Good luck. I hope it all goes well. I can't wait to hear the news.
I will need luck, that's for sure.
No, you won't.
Manda, what time are we meeting for the first game of the season? What time?
You know what I was going to say to
11
Barry,
a.m.
what time?
11 a.m.
I like to go early. Barry likes to go late. So we have to sort of get Carl involved and go, what time should we go? All shows are available, as Carl has just said, on all download platforms. All right, Nigel, we'll do it before Christmas. Barry, I'll see you and speak to you way before we have to arrange to go, but it's not long. I think it's Nottingham Forest midday, so we'll be having breakfast in the cafe.
Oh, okay.
Dad, thank you so much for coming back on. Everyone's loved you as ever, and I just want to say I've loved it. And thank you for all your birthday wishes. I can't put them all up because it's next week. And Dad, you enjoyed it?
Very, very much so. Thank you for having me back on. And I hope everybody who has watched it has liked it, has enjoyed the stories. There's another 30,000 stories. Well, 10, I suppose, I've got buried somewhere in my head. And one day in the future, I'll be more than happy to come back again.
Brilliant. And I know everyone wants you to come back. Also, for everyone on audio, hello. Thank you for listening. Thank you for, enjoying our shows as well. We will be back in the season. I'm having a break. You get a break from me, all of you. Guys, the family, thank you so much. And
Hope
to
your team
everybody
wins,
watching,
Manda.
hope your team wins to everybody. Enjoy the rest of the summer. Enjoy none of my dulcet tones for about 2 weeks. I'll see you after the Charity Shield. And remember, always Arsenal.
Always Arsenal.
Come on, you
Always
guys.
Arsenal.